Blog Talk Radio. Hi, and welcome to The Art of Film Funding. I'm your co-host, Claire Papan, along with Carol Dean, author of the best-selling book, The Art of Film Funding. Carol is also the founder and president of From the Heart Productions and the host of this show. Our very special guest today, Jonathan M. Smith, is an actor, writer, producer who's been involved in the film industry for over 15 years. Recently, he produced, starred, and wrote an independent feature that is part of the Amazon Prime catalog called Broken City. At this time, Jonathan is currently producing and starring in a vertical series called Collapse of America. He hopes to discover new trends with the series and show the industry a fresh way to deliver content and great stories to modern audiences. It will be released in all major social media platforms next month. And Carol, I understand that Jonathan is a teacher on your producer-to-producer class.
Yes, Claire, he's really loved and respected by everyone on that class. We call Jonathan our resonance filmmaker. He's taking us into a new direction, the Renaissance man, we call him. He's an excellent teacher. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to talk about everything today. Great.
We want to cover a lot of things, so I'd like to know what you think is the reason that Hollywood productions are down 40% from peak levels, how social media and AI will affect the film industry, and how to prepare for the future in the film industry. I know it's a lot to cover, so let's get started with what you think are some of the reasons why Hollywood productions are down 40%.
Yeah, well, it's not just one reason. There's quite a few. There's a lot of big reasons, some big, some small. So I'll start off with tax incentives are a big one. That's one that I'm really hearing around producers and other people. And California has not been as competitive as some states and other countries about its tax benefits on the market. So people are essentially deciding to shoot elsewhere besides California because they feel like they're getting more bang for their buck. And an example of this that I'm hearing is that there's more projects going to the UK. And UK offers, UK would be an example, they offer tax incentives that are very competitive. They have diverse landscapes, skilled crews, studio facilities. So California has to realize that this is a competitive market right now, and it's not the 80s and 90s anymore, and there's just an expectation that everything's going to be filmed in California. That's not the case, and things are changing rather quickly. And BAS has recently created an emergency film commission, so we'll see how that goes. But streaming and content is a worldwide market. Things have changed. The project that Joaquin Phoenix recently dropped out of, that was going to be filmed in Mexico. So I expect to see more projects in Mexico done over time because labor is cheaper, and we'll see if they compete with incentives as well. But film is becoming a worldwide marketplace, and you can make content from anywhere and sell it from anywhere. So that's going to have a huge effect on California.
It is, Jonathan, because one of our filmmakers told me recently England is now 40%, and you can shoot so much in England. You could go over and shoot in Ireland and also be able to get the Ireland tax write-off along with the English. So that you can make 20% off of one and 40 off of another, and then if you were using the 181 or the 168 tax laws in the United States, You can do even more than that. You've got more government help in America. But that isn't restricted to any state. That is for the whole of America. So people are looking for the most discounts they can get from taxes. And so in Mexico, the state of Mexico, shooting there. Which state? Do you remember? Where?
I remember they were going to film in Guadalajara.
Guadalajara is gorgeous.
For the Joaquin Phoenix movie. I'm actually going to be visiting there soon, and seeing, are they building sets down there, or are there a lot of filmmakers coming out? I know that there's a lot of great acting talent coming out there, so I'm excited to take a look at the city and see what's being built over there.
Okay, so that's number one. Tax incentives are much better in other states. That's true. I think it's 40% in New Mexico, Georgia, and Louisiana. Those three seem to be the top filming states at the moment for rebates.
Yeah, I don't know the percentages off the top of my head. I should have wrote them down. But, yeah, definitely Georgia, New Mexico. Nevada could be thrown in there, had the ring as well. Recently, Mark Wahlberg and Warner Brothers are trying to get stuff going over there. Mark Wahlberg moved to Vegas recently. So did Nicolas Cage, I believe, as well. So, people are moving all across the U.S. and the world to film content. So it's being moved to other places.
Well, what I'm beginning to notice is that this is September, and Jonathan, I don't think I've seen but maybe one film all year that would even begin to qualify for the Academy Awards. So what's that all about?
Yeah.
Have you seen anything?
The Academy Awards are going to be interesting. Unless they did a pretty decent job, I would say, last Academy Awards, but as far as public consciousness, they are becoming almost, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but, they're definitely not in the public consciousness anymore. YouTube has taken a lot where you can just watch bits and pieces of it instead of the whole show. And, the Oscars, the Academy Awards, we have to remember is not just a place to celebrate great talent and great achievements, but it's a marketing piece as well. And entire movies are made based on the fact that there's going to be a big marketing push in the Academy Awards to make money on the movie. And if that disappears, then some of these movies will also disappear because they're not going to have that big marketing attention from the Academy.
Yes, you're quite right. That affects the whole world is watching the Academy Awards, and the films that are up for an Academy Award, or even let's say a film that just had good editing, people go to see, or the best actor. Definitely, they want to see it, and that adds millions to the star's income on the next film, right? So, but you also mentioned
the producers.
Yes. The companies are backing away from streaming wars. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we are in the Variety just recently did a good article that we are in the post-streaming wars. So what that means is I talked about this last year, and one of our State of the Industry podcasts, that they would start cost cutting in 2023. And I remember being on the podcast and someone was telling me, he doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. But I ended up being right because I work with other tech companies, and the film companies operate like tech companies now. And the major strategy of the 2010s for a lot of companies, whether it was Uber, Netflix, DoorDash, is you aggressively have discounts, whatever. You aggressively spend. And even if you're not profitable, you spend to get users. And once you maximize your users, then you start focusing on cutting costs and retaining those users. So that was easy to do when interest rates were lower as well. And right now, I think we're in the post-streaming wars for the time being, unless another war starts. But I think it's pretty much settled. It seems like Netflix has won the streaming war as far as subscribers. YouTube and social media has taken over. So now companies like Netflix and HBO are focused on stabilizing profits and not exponential growth, which means you're going to start seeing things like cutting back on budgets, cutting back on shows, having more ads in between shows and in their programs, focus on tentpole releases instead of new original shows. So more Game of Thrones, less Mozart in the Jungle, and you're also going to see a crackdown on password sharing, which we're seeing
what
all
does
these
that
things
mean?
right now.
Where you can't have it, like if you've got an iPad, you share with your iPad, or somebody comes along and takes your information and uses it.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, so they're going to get really tough on that, huh?
Right. So if you're, you live in California and you're sharing your password with your best friend in Oklahoma, they're going to see those are completely different IP addresses and shut it down. That's what you're starting to see with Netflix. Even city to city, they can start shutting it down pretty quickly.
Right. So that would increase their subscription rates too, wouldn't it?
Right. Or they're hoping that if it doesn't, you just stop watching and either are forced into it or don't watch it at all. They'd rather you not watch it at all than share these passwords.
Well, you mentioned something about the interest rates. It was easier when the interest rates were lower. Yes, people could then afford to pay for the additional advertising that it took to market some of their new ideas and create an industry like Uber did and DoorDash and all of those. They came out of nowhere and just overnight they became so important, reliable, and part of the zeitgeist, and they became part of your vocabulary. So will we see more of that now that the interest rates are up so high?
I don't think so. I think, they could come down, but there's also other concerns as well, and we'll get into that, where there's a concern about AI and social media. Technology is expanding fast, so studios don't want to build something that will be obsolete in 5 to 10 years. So they're also waiting that out too as well to see where the market's headed. And we're going to talk about YouTube in a little bit, but the recent report said that the kids aged 2 to 17 accounted for 30% of YouTube's viewing metrics and only 13% of TV's viewing metrics. So these kids are eventually going to grow up and be adults. How are their viewing habits going to be different than Gen X, late millennials, and baby boomers? They're going to be much different, and what they're willing to pay for is going to be much different. So there's a huge concern about that as well.
All right, because we're trending towards shorter pieces of information. Is that what you mean?
Not just shorter pieces of information, but just how you consume the content in general. YouTube is an ad-generated, free for the most part, unless you get like YouTube Premium or YouTube TV. It's a free service. All you need is your phone or your iPad. There's no limitations on going to YouTube. So they may even look at it, the younger generation, why even pay $10 to $15 for a streaming service when I have YouTube? Why pay $10 to $15 to go to the movies or $20 to go to the movies when I have YouTube? We don't quite know what the next generation's behavior will be, but we're already starting to see trends. So that's going to have an effect on the industry in the next 5 to 10, 15 years. It'll probably be the biggest piece, actually, is the upcoming generation and how they buy content, unless we start focusing on older audiences, which may be the correct move.
Focusing on older audiences, which may be the correct move. Wow. Well, what was it? Let's talk at this time then about that new film that's out, Milk and Cereal, that he shot on his iPhone. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't think he shot on his iPhone. I think they still use a different camera. But the main point was that they were able to make the movie reportedly for $800. And they're doing everything that we talk about in the producer class, at least in my schedule or format, is they have a pretty large YouTube following. They made a feature for under $1,000, and they launched it on YouTube. They didn't even go to a distributor to launch it, and they just went straight to YouTube. And the film was good enough and caught the attention of people, and they were able to get mainstream press like IndieWire, Variety, Chris Stuckman, who's one of the YouTubers' big film critics. So here's somebody that's getting attention that some people who spend millions or hundreds of thousands on their independent film would not get. And this film team was able to do it for under $1,000 because they have a big YouTube channel and they made a decent film and they were able to do it for cheap. So I think that's, the future of independent filmmaking. I think that's where it's gonna head.
Well, will they make any money off of YouTube from they had something like 300,000 views?
Oh, it'll make more. I'm sure by the end, 5, 7, 10 years later, it's going to get 10 million views. It doesn't, like you keep making money as time goes on. There's plenty of videos that, get 200,000 views the first year, and by year 10, it's at 2 million. That happens quite a bit because YouTube sees the viewer rate progressively. Maybe, they get a big movie and they share it. So they're thinking long term. So by building an audience, they're more likely to get called by a studio because they already have a platform and audience already to share behind the scenes videos. If they get a studio film, they're in direct content of the audience. They may be able to get people to pay for tickets in the theaters more likely because they have a YouTube-built audience already. So that's what the studios are looking at. So by doing this move for their first movie, they're more likely to make a bigger movie for their second, third, or fourth film. So it's not always about your first film. Sometimes it's about the second or third.
Well, yes, but the first film, the marketing is the key. This has often been said that Hollywood is a marketing town, not a movie making. It's marketing, and that gentleman is certainly proving that, right?
Right. I don't know what connections they had to get into Variety, but yeah, they were able to get in some pretty big circles just with their YouTube channel and their connections to get in that marketing space.
Well, let's talk about AI moving into the film industry, because as a writer, I love to write, but I find that ChatGPT can write so much faster and sometimes even better than I can write. It's discouraging for writers, because it's within seconds they can spit out something. So where are we going with the AI, in your opinion, in the film industry?
I think creative, whether it's music or film, it's just going to rapidly take over from what I'm seeing, especially for smaller projects. I think very large projects, very large Hollywood projects will still be okay, but there's only so many of those available. But on the smaller independent film, I think you could see AI taking over a lot of it, if not most of the work. So we're already seeing AI have an effect on graphic artists, storyboard artists, voice performers, writers, pitch deck creators, composers, stock footage, photography, models, both print and runway, BTS, that means behind the scenes, print. We're already seeing AI have an effect on those jobs and industries, and soon it will have an effect on sound engineers and post as well. This weekend I tested something. I did some filming at a location, and I didn't hire a sound person to sign. I just said I'm just going to use my phone and whatever sound it captures. And Carol, I was amazed. I was able to, with an AI program, clean the audio up, clean any background noise that was there, and it sounds like professional sound. So I didn't even need a sound person on set. The AI was able to understand the audio and what was actually the intelligible audio that we needed for the performance, and it cleaned everything else up and took everything else out. So
that's fabulous. Sound is so important, Jonathan. That's fabulous. Well, I've talked to you about Patrick before, the guru that I worked with, and he said that the sound in your cell phone is better than any sound recorder on the market.
Yeah, they're getting very good, and then with AI, they're to clean it up. Unless you work on a huge, like a big movie project, I'm sure they're not going to take away sound equipment. But if you're doing social media content or even a small feature, you may not have to pay $300 for a sound person. So that's changing. So
yeah.
I think the last job that will be taken is acting, and we're already seeing different video-generated AI software or generative AI that's getting really good. But, humans have a thing called the uncanny valley, which means that if we see something off, whether that's facial movements or a little twitch of the eye that seems wrong, or the mouth moves weird, or the skin is a little off, we immediately feel uncomfortable. And I think that's a survival mechanism for people. It's going to be a while before AI completely, at least for commercial use, be able to make a full hour 20-minute movie where there's no continuity issues, there's no breaking of immersion. So it'll be a while before acting is taken away. Cinematographers, again, they're in charge of lighting, focusing. I think they're going to, cinematographers who understand AI production workflows, I think are going to be okay. But those who don't will be replaced very quickly. And same for directors. I think directors are going to have to understand AI, post-production, how to cut costs, how to film things without certain key jobs that were there 10 years ago. All that's going to be important. So I think big projects will be safer because of unions and everything that's expected on bigger sets, but many independent projects are going to have to cut costs, and a lot of jobs will be lost in the independent film market.
Right. So the secret there is, you say, keep expanding your talents. If you're a writer-producer, become a writer-director-producer, and just keep adding to your talents. And can you elaborate on that some?
Yeah, the way I tell people is to think of yourself as the conductor and not just the instrument or one musician. So I believe within 10, maybe 15 years, that you will be able to, if you have a vision, instead of just being a composer, instead of just being an actor, you'll have the tools to be your own composer, your own director, your own visual effects artist, your own writer. You'll be able to do 8 to 10 jobs yourself. And I'm already doing certain things for my vertical series where I'm the sound engineer, I'm the editor, I'm writing it myself, I'm the actor. This would have required, I'm doing a lot of the visual effects. This would have been stuff that would have required a bigger team. I'm doing a lot of it on my own.
Well, tell us about the vertical series. Okay.
Yeah, so the show is called Collapse in America. It's about us in the future. So we're in 2035, and you're watching a documentary on how America collapsed. and the first season is focusing on a TikTok influencer becoming president of the United States and how that happened. And
okay. That's
and the
amazing.
hook of it is, thank you. And the hook of it is that you can watch it in bite-sized pieces, vertically in vertical content, right? So you can be on TikTok and Instagram and watch each video at a time, or you can watch the whole thing like a kind of a special documentary for the whole hour and 10 minutes. So you can, depending on your viewer choice as a viewer, you can either watch it in bite-sized pieces like TikTok or in short form, or you can watch it collectively as a whole. That's how we're looking to make this unique and special.
Wow. And this is what you're using, all the technology, all the AI technology to make this, right?
Yeah, I'm experimenting a lot. This gives us room to experiment and try different things. Some of the AI is hidden, and some of it you'll definitely tell, like visual effects and stuff. But a lot of it, especially like sound, cleaning up, replacing backgrounds, a lot of it's hidden that you wouldn't even know is there.
Well, this is what you talk about on the producer class. So you have to keep sharing with us which programs you like. What are you using? What have you found to be the best? Because as we go forward, sharing the programs that enhance and improve our skills is very important amongst filmmakers, right?
Yeah, very important.
Well, let's talk about Largo AI for a moment, because From the Heart has their product for filmmakers, and we ran a report for you on your film, and it was so good. It showed a 10 times the cost return on investment. And that allowed you to get online with Largo for all of the producers and streamers to take a look at your report. So tell us about the report and the whole your whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, the report's been great. I think Largo's great. You get to see the numbers, the data, audience metrics, who you think the audience will be and what they'll watch. It'll tell you whether you should focus on streaming or focus for the project to be in theaters. One thing I also like is it tells you what's working or what's not working in the script, or it gives you like an emotional blueprint or emotional chart of certain scenes, which I think is great, because not every scene needs to be like 10 on an emotional scale. Maybe you want a scene to be at a 3 or a 4, because that's where you want your audience to calm down and relax and not be anxiety filled. So it tells you what certain emotional peaks are for scenes, and a lot of the times it can be intentional. So I think that's great. As far as my experience, I've had some really big producers look at it. I mean, sadly, we're probably in the biggest slowdown in film in a very, very long time. So we'll see where that goes. I believe that if this were 2019, it would already be in production already if Largo was around then. But as Largo gets bigger and gains more traction with Netflix in the studio, I think it will be a great tool for independent filmmakers to try to show those numbers. So as Largo gains their relationships with bigger studios, the better it's going to be for independent filmmakers.
Yes, it is a good report for independent filmmakers, because they have loaded their computer with 250,000 films and hundreds of thousands of television shows and everything. So your script is being compared to quality product. And that's exactly what the studios are using. We don't know if it's the Largo, because they tell us that they have NDAs with the studios and streamers, but we know that it is a product that's similar. So moving to this level is very important for filmmakers to realize that no longer You don't need to get a person to read the script. You need to get a computer to give you an output, and then you have something really saleable. And the good part of it, I think, is that you run this report first, and it tells you where you need more attention or where everything drops off, or it may say that your distribution you've chosen is not the best. They'll tell you who might distribute your film and do a better job. They'll tell you if you should go after theatrical or not, and they give you an idea of what a streamer might pay for your film. All of this
Right.
is so valuable. I think it's marvelous. It opens filmmakers' ideas and opens them up for new ways of looking at their script. It's powerful. And then, Jonathan, I hear in maybe 6 months, they're going to have the storyboards done.
Yeah, and I think that will be great. I'm looking forward to seeing that feature, and yeah, I think that will be a great tool, especially if they have the customization. I still need to see the demo, but I'm definitely excited about that feature.
Right.
It's going to make processes much more simpler for directors, especially.
Yes, it definitely will. But you're talking before, about problems with the film industry, and one of them, you said, projects are getting slashed or budgets are dropping, reducing your budget. And one of my favorite producers was making films between $750 and $1 million, and he dropped down to making films for $100,000, like hotcakes. I mean, I think he made 4 in a row. And obviously they were financially successful for him, and there seems to be a market for that at the moment.
Yeah, especially if you understand distribution. I'm sure a lot of those movies now are going to be either profitable or on ad-generated platforms. Some of them probably get bought by the streaming companies, but a lot of that content is going on ad-generated platforms. So Tubi, Freevee, and Tubi, a lot of film people see it as a joke, but Tubi is growing. It's a huge part of Fox's catalog, and they may overtake one of the big ones. I think they're catching up to Disney Plus. Like Tubi's not a joke.
That is great. I know Tom Malloy did a detective show for Tubi, a comedy. Back in the 70s type show, and it's running constantly, so I guess he's getting money off of that too.
Oh yeah.
This is fun. Well, okay, so let's get back on track. I really appreciate your time and helping us with this. So let's talk about social networking. And marketing. And I understand that streamers and other studios now are using the influencers to promote their films, that rather than spending a lot of money on advertising, they're spending some of that money on flying in influencers, wining, dining, and treating them royally, letting them see their film and sending them home to influence people to go to the theater. Tell me, how you see that moving forward, getting stronger?
Yeah, it's only going to get bigger. I mean, it's not much different than when you used to pay Paris Hilton to show off your product, right? It's the same thing. It's just that the market changed to where before it was mostly decided by what the majors or the studios thought were important people. Now it's based on who other people think are important. That's the main shift.
Right. Well, you're talking about the social networks and how important they are right now, and how YouTube is actually having higher ratings than Disney. So obviously YouTube is part of the future. Now, but do you see the form getting shorter and shorter? And people making films for 10 minutes, what we used to call short films, will become very successful or become important and can run up or help build your YouTube platform?
Well, YouTube is a collection of different things. They have shorts, they have documentaries, they have feature films. So all that is taken into account into YouTube. What YouTube is showing is that the audience wants a no-barrier platform. They want to easily be able to watch it, whether that's kids watching small snippets of shows or watching shorts or watching sometimes 2 to 3 hour long documentaries that people make on YouTube or feature films on YouTube, like we're seeing with Making Serial. The audience is just preferring not to pay for their content. I think that's one of the biggest things. Some of them have YouTube Premium, some of them don't. But what we're seeing is ease of access is a big one. And that article that went viral on IndieWire, I think a key piece that people missed is that YouTube didn't just beat out Disney Plus, it beat out the entire Disney catalog. I don't think people understand how big that is. Disney owns Hulu, Disney Plus, cable on Disney, ESPN, YouTube. From what I've gathered, beat all of them together.
That's fascinating. Wow. There's what I read was astonishing. I can't even remember how many items are uploaded on YouTube every day, but it was an incredible number, right?
Yes. Yes, so I don't know the exact number, but it's
outrageous. And getting people to your YouTube channel is not easy. So, and since you've been teaching in our producer class how important it is to YouTube is for the future, then I guess getting your own YouTube channel and creating your own audience could be part of the future for independent filmmakers, right?
It's going to be a key. I think you're going to have to grow your audience, and I would start doing that now. Whether that's, and that's why I'm testing out with the vertical series as well. It may not even have to be you or your face, but having like evergreen content that you can constantly put out that showcases your talent, whether that's educational or a short form series or skits and features. Whatever you do, you just have to build that platform out, or else there's a chance you get left behind, especially as AI gets bigger and bigger.
Right. Well, I know that you did a whole show for us, a whole class on the how to make money on YouTube, and it's not easy. You really have to get some big numbers to make any money, right? Can you tell us a little about that?
You don't necessarily need big numbers, and what matters is your audience. I mean, if you had a crypto YouTube channel in 2021, and you only had 1,000 to 2,000 viewers, well, if those viewers are all making over six figures in their jobs, and they're buying crypto programs from you, and they're buying coaching from you, you could be very well off. So what matters is your audience and what their audience is willing to pay for to make a lot of money on YouTube.
Okay, so give us your idea of where you think the industry is going in the next 5 years.
I think the majors, like the big ones, Disney, HBO Max, Netflix, whatever, they're going to focus on getting bigger, like releasing bigger movies. So I think they're going to stay the course. I mean, if you went to D23 showed off their 3 to 5 year plan, and it's all IPs. It's Incredibles, it's Lilo and Stitch, it's Marvel shows, it's Marvel movies. They're going to focus on that, and I think they're going to let the and I think many of the original stuff's going to come from independent filmmakers. I think the streaming companies are going to release original content and new stuff, but I think their big focus is now going to be on tentpoles, and a lot of innovative work is going to either come from like smaller boutique stuff like A24, and I wouldn't be surprised if A24 gets bought, and smaller independent creators are going to be creating a lot of the original stuff. So I think
okay,
that's the
well,
future.
Explain to people what a tentfold film is, in case someone doesn't know.
Avengers is a tentpole. Deadpool that made $1 billion is a tentpole. So that just means that that's your big franchise that's going to make a lot of money, and they're banking on it to make a lot of money.
And they usually have extremely high budgets going in, so only the studios can afford to do that, right?
Correct. And they're banking on that they'll be able to protect their IP. IP means intellectual property from AI. So if you try to make your own Deadpool movie on social media with AI, they'll be able to block it. That's what they're hoping. So you won't be able to compete with them in that. You won't be able to steal Mickey Mouse and put it on your TikTok show.
Exactly.
So they're going to focus on growing bigger because you can't duplicate that.
All right. So the life of the independent filmmaker is changing rapidly, and the point is that you have to stay connected to the industry, read every day, learn what's happening, and experiment with some of these AI programs to find something that will help you do your job faster, right?
Yeah, I think that's key for independent filmmakers because it could be as short as 5 years. A director who understands how to do certain workflows with AI to save costs may be hired over you if you're just doing things old school, especially if it's a smaller budget or a smaller set. So understanding these tools may be the difference between having a job in 5 years or not having a job.
Yes. So it's up to you to get back in, spend your time educating and expanding your abilities and becoming part of the new world. Don't let it overtake you, overwhelm you, right?
Correct. And I'd also be comfortable with, having another job outside the industry as well as we go through this transition. I'm seeing a lot of sad stories of people who, are losing their homes and things like that, just waiting, and I wouldn't do that. Do what you can to have other streams of revenue or work other jobs during this transition.
You're so right. What is happening now? It's not the 40-hour week with the gold watch after 30 years. It's income from various sources. And that may just be $500 a month from one place or $600 from another, because they don't want you as a full-time employee now. They want you as part-time. So it's getting its income from various places, or streams of income, is the new way forward, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate your information. You've kept us moving forward from the introduction last year. You did that everything you want to know about film funding class, and you told us how fast AI was moving into the industry, and I think most of us thought, oh, come on, Jonathan. And we're all saying,
everybody thought it was crazy.
Gosh. No, I know. They thought you were crazy. Now they're saying, oh, tell me more, Jonathan. I believe. I'm a believer. So thank you very much. And Claire, thank you for a great host. I appreciate that. And we'll now, to reach you, Jonathan, how can people find you?
The best way to reach me is either on Instagram at Malibu Cinema. That's at, and then MALIBU Cinema, CINEMA, or Carol put in the link. It's an exclusive course, exclusive free course to From the Heart members on how to get financing for your films or how to raise money for your films. It's all the tools and tricks I learned from multiple producers and just experience on the field on how to raise funding and money from your films. So just sign up for that, and you'll be connected to my newsletter as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. And thank you so much for that gift, because that class is incredibly good, Jonathan. So best of luck to you. Okay. Yep. Take care. Thank you, Claire.
Take care, everyone.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Be well, everyone.
Thank you.
Now, in its second edition, Carol Dean's popular book, The Art of Film Funding, has 12 new chapters to cover all areas of film financing and how to avoid expensive pitfalls. Learn how to start with an idea and end with a trailer, how to make an ask for money, create your story structure and your trailer, legal advice, fair use, successful crowdfunding, how to ask for music rights, and what insurance you can't shoot without. Available on Amazon under Carol Dean and at FromTheHeartProductions.com. I want to remind our listeners that David Raiklin is a brilliant and talented award-winning musician who scores films and can compose music for a trio or for a full orchestra. David is a very good friend to the independent filmmaker and comes highly recommended by From the Heart Productions. If you need music to help tell your story, please contact him at davidraiklin.com. That's David, RAIKLEN.com. And Carol and I want to thank you for tuning in to The Art of Film Funding. Please visit our website at FromTheHeartProductions.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Good luck with your films, everyone.
When you're part of a military family, you understand sacrifice and support. At American Public University, we honor your dedication by extending our military tuition savings to your extended family. Parents, spouses, legal partners, siblings, and dependents all qualify for APU's preferred military rate of just $250 per credit hour for undergraduate and master's level programs. American Public University. Value for the whole family. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.